Hey, it's me and I'm JV, the Antique Autistic. I like looking at other people's YouTube channels, and my favorite is, I think, one by Jenna Marbles. And I really find her absolutely, she's so funny. I don't think, she's obviously ADHD, and I'm ADHD. I don't think she's autistic, though she has a way of being able to make fun of normal behavior and see how ludicrous some of it is in ways that most neurotypicals don't. But anyway, she's great, and I absolutely love her. And a few days ago, I was watching where she had a video about things that she believed, incorrectly as a child, things she believed is true. And one of them was that if she saw someone with really great hair, she believed that if you asked them what shampoo they used and you tried that shampoo, you'd end up with their hair. And I thought, yeah, I remember that. I thought that too. And I started thinking about things that I thought as a child. And there were many things, but then I started thinking about things I thought as a child that probably, things I believed as a child, that probably only another autistic child would believe. And so I wrote down 3 of them. And one of them is something I believed as a child, and it made sense logically to me then. My dad would take pictures. Remember back in the old days when pictures were taken, they had these great big flashes, and to me the flashes were horribly painful. I really hated when we had to get the family pictures taken, because that flash, and it would give me headaches and it would make me sick, and it was just awful because of my sensory issues. And so we'd sit there, we'd have to wait, and then we'd all have to say cheese, and then I get in trouble for not having, for having a fake smile. But how could I have a genuine smile when I'm terrified, and a genuine smile is kind of spontaneous. But anyway, be that whatever, I was terrified, absolutely terrified of getting the pictures taken. And so I happened to be reading something about culture in certain Asian countries and certain other countries. And what I was reading said that some of them would not allow their picture to be taken because they believed that if someone took their picture, they were trying to steal their soul. So this made me even more terrified. And so I knew I couldn't explain this to my family. And so I was just so afraid all the time that I was growing up, that when I was going to get my picture taken, that my soul was going to be stolen, and that's what was causing the physical pain, as it was, whatever it was trying to pull it from myself. And though of course I don't believe that, I still really don't like getting my picture taken. It still makes me really terribly uneasy. Okay, another thing that I believed as a child that I probably would not believe unless, if I was not an autistic child. And I grew up, I've talked about it, I will talk about it some more, but, in a horrifically dysfunctional family. And I suffered a lot. My parents, my folks had money, a great deal of money. And I really didn't have friends until I found books, and I'm so lucky I started reading at 3. But books were my friends, and I would love reading all the books. and some of them are fiction, some of them are nonfiction. Some of them were fictionalized nonfiction. And I won't go into this right now why, but like I was super obsessed with food. And so I especially like to read books that talked a lot about food. And the books that talked a lot about food usually were about these immigrant families who came over. They were first generation immigrant families. And, you know, German and Irish and Italian, Jewish, all sorts of groups with distinct cultures in them, and they were very food oriented, and I really loved reading them because they were food oriented. But they also, because they were about new immigrants and such, invariably they would talk about poverty, and that there was poverty. They were poor but happy. And so I said, that's the secret. Logically, you know, it makes sense. And so my goal was poverty. Had poverty as a goal for when I was an adult, so that I could be poor but happy rather than rich and miserable, because I couldn't see it any other way. And I think that's something that only maybe another autistic who was really abused could see. Third thing is, there used to be a show on called Perry Mason. And Perry Mason, what the whole show was every week was somebody came to Perry Mason and he was convicted of a crime that he didn't do, and Perry Mason took the whole show proving that his client was innocent. And first, it really made no sense to me, because as an autistic, okay, I know that it's the stereotype about we don't lie, but stereotypes really are based on truth. We don't lie. It is uncomfortable for us to lie, okay? And we also have like this hugely overdeveloped feelings of guilt for anything. And so I would see these people being convicted of committing these crimes, and I would think, well, if they did it, of course they would say, yeah, I did it, fry me, you know, because they would feel so guilty, and they would not want to get away with it, because just as far as being autistic, I can't stand feeling the guilt. So I figured, so why aren't these people just saying, no, I didn't do it, and the jury saying, well, they said they didn't do it, therefore they didn't commit the crime. And it got me kind of scared, because I was thinking, well, these must supposed to be innocent people, because innocent people wouldn't, you know, like I said, say they didn't do it if they did. If they didn't. And so I noticed in Perry Mason, he was always saying things like, where were you on Saturday the 24th at 3 p.m.? Things like that. And somehow the ability or inability to answer that question seemed to make a difference of whether that person was viewed as innocent or not. And so for about 3 years, I had this little notebook. Actually, it was an old color book, but I wrote, you know, in the white parts and stuff, I wrote the date and the time and what I was doing at what time, so that if someone decided that they were going to accuse me of murder, that I would be able to say, aha, I was feeding my fish or whatever, and Saturday the 13th at 4 p.m., whatever. And I think that's something I believe that probably a lot of people who aren't autistic probably wouldn't believe. I don't know. So anyway, I was just wondering, you guys, if as children, you know, things you believed as children that you probably wouldn't have believed if you weren't autistic. And for all you haters, we're here, we're weird, get used to it.